Hey there, folks, and welcome to my retro media room. And today I decided I wanted to look at my top 10 most valuable Dreamcast games from my library. Actually, a viewer suggested, he's like, hey, I want to look, can we look at Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 games? And that's going to be the next one. I was looking at my top 10 most valuable PlayStation 2 games. All right, so let's get started. So first at number 10 here, we have Spawn. And Spawn and the Demon's Hand. I played this a little bit. It's a fun game. It's an arcade game. I think if I remember right, it's directly ported from the arcade game. And so it's a third-person like kind of a level-based third-person arcade shooter. You know, it even has it's even arcade stick compatible. Look at the inside. This copy is very nice. So all these prices that I'm going to list, I'm listing, are based on complete condition, and pretty much all these are very nice condition, anywhere from very good to like new conditions, complete. So that's what I'm basing all the values of these on. So this is number 10. Next we have at number 9, Dino Crisis. I actually really need to play this because I played Dino Crisis once on PlayStation 1 back in the day, and I have that as well. But obviously, it being released on Dreamcast is an opportunity for it to have sharper graphics and a way to revisit it. So now it's not VGA compatible, so there's that it may or may not affect because when it's VGA compatible, it's actually really nice picture quality. And I have a VGA setup on a monitor with the Dreamcast. Dreamcast had really good resolution options, picture quality options beyond the PlayStation 2, like well beyond the PlayStation 2. Funny enough, PlayStation 2 has the most limited image quality options in terms of HDMI, or it has no all right, to be fair, none of them do, but it has like component and analog, but the component is really not that great either. The GameCube had better resolution, the Xbox had better resolution, and the Dreamcast has better resolution. The PlayStation 2 has the lowest resolution image quality of all that generation, which is interesting enough. I love the PS2, but you fire up any one of the four on a modern TV with the Optimum setup, it is by far the worst visually, which is interesting because it has such a good library. But anyway, so yeah, I need to play this. I love Dino Crisis 2 on PS2 on PlayStation 1 back in the day. I didn't play the first one enough because it was a little bit different, but I need to go ahead and revisit it. All right. At number 8, we have Sonic Adventure 2. I've barely played, so I've only played like the first level or two of Sonic Adventure 2. I haven't played it enough. I played the heck out of the first one. I love the first one. It's probably my favorite Sonic game. Hot take. Just because I really loved it on Dreamcast, so it's very nostalgic for me because I got Dreamcast launch day. So Sonic, but I know Sonic 2 is a lot of, much more of the same of that type of gameplay, and everything. It's not a hugely, super drastically different. But yeah, so I need to play. I could either play it this way, or I could also play it on through backwards compatibility on my Series X, Xbox Series X. All right, number 7, we have an oddball one here. We have Typing of the Dead. Now, I have the the Dreamcast keyboard with this, so I'm fortunate enough that I didn't really look up the value of this. So I'm assuming maybe complete means with the keyboard. Without it, I'm not sure, but I'll just assume with it because I do have the keyboard, and so I did play it a little bit. It is quite interesting. It actually is a nice way to practice typing, believe it or not. So that's pretty funny. And I played the absolute crap out of House of the Dead 2 on Dreamcast with the light gun. So that was, always loved House of the Dead 2. I played a lot of it on Dreamcast. It was so much. It was almost identical to the arcade. It was almost a perfect port. All right. Well, we are at now we have at number 6 here, Resident Evil 2, the Dreamcast version. Now this is arguably, even though all of them are good in their own right, you could argue this is the best. I would say, from what I can tell, you could argue this is the best version of Resident Evil 2. Across, because you got the 64, you got the PlayStation 1 original, which I of course played the most of and love. Then you got the 64 version, which was interesting because it had analog. It had analog controls on it where you can, instead of tank controls, you just, wherever you point the joystick, that's where Leon or Claire will go, which is interesting. Which was unique from all of them at the time. And it's a good port. It's a solid port. The 64 version is very good. The GameCube version is also very solid, but this one is more based off of the PC port, and it looks really sharp. It plays great. It has the way the extras are. I forget every little detail, but from what I remember looking into it, the Dreamcast version is a really, really solid way of playing the original game. Other than like firing up the PlayStation 1 original on a PS3. That's obviously a fantastic way to do it too, in terms of on modern setups. So yeah, this is definitely a great way to play it. But I would say probably the biggest hurdle with this, at least on original controller, Dreamcast controllers were not. Of course, it's 2 discs, just like the PlayStation. So the Dreamcast controller, as much as I love the Dreamcast, the controller was not great. And I have a modern one from Retro Fighters that is updated and much better, so that helps quite a bit. But in terms of how the controller originally was, not great, and not particularly great for Resident Evil. The controls are actually quite bad on Code Veronica on the Dreamcast, to be honest, because of that controller. All right, so moving on to number 5, Skies of Arcadia. I have always, I know it's a solid RPG. I need to get around to playing it. I've always meant to. I'm glad I have this. I wish I had the GameCube version, which they released after this one, and kind of enhanced it a little bit, added some stuff. But that's worth even more than this one. So, but a very solid RPG, very cool. I'm glad I got a hold of a copy because they're very, obviously difficult to get a hold of. So yeah, definitely to this day have a desire to play and beat this game because it's an old school JRPG. All right, number 4 here got D2. Very weird game from what I remember reading about it. I've never played it. I know you're going to hear that a lot from me. I've never played it. Well, that's life of a collector. You get a lot of stuff and you play only a fraction of them. Well, so this game was critically it was not the best I remember in the day, but I love I love the original D, and which I have on the Sega Saturn, I have on PlayStation. It was originally on PC. So I've always kind of had a spot in my heart for D as a series. And so too, even though it's very different from the first one, I always wanted to play it and check it out. So I'll fire it up and play it for real one of these days. But very nice copy, and it's gone up in value, so I'm very glad I have it. All right, next up, our third most valuable. I've got Power Stone 2. Now, just as a little bonus here, I also have Power Stone 1, which I love, and I'm thankfully I got it. But it's actually not worth, oddly enough, it's not worth as much as it was. It's worth like $60+, like up to 70. But so Power Stone 2, on the other hand, is very hard to get a hold of. It's worth a decent amount. Very cool game. This is more of a party game compared to, because you can play up to 4 players on this one. And there was the other one, if I remember right, was just a 2-player. And yeah, 2-player, which was solid 2-player fighting. But this one is even more of a party game. So yeah, Power Stone 2, very good. I'm glad I have it. Very hard to get. I can't even remember how much I paid for it. I paid maybe half of what it's worth now. So I did pretty good. All right, and at number 2, and it's funny, this literally changed before I was right before I was about to make the video. This changed. So number 2, we have Marvel vs. Capcom 2. This was 2 or 3 spots down, and then it moved up to number 2 before I could hit record. And so I discovered that. Not surprised, because everything Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is out of print. Maybe not offline. I think you can still fire it up on 360 online if you have it, but it's delisted. It's really weird. The licensing for this is bizarre. So all of them have gone up in value. The Xbox version, the PS2 version, this original version, the online, they're delisted to my knowledge. I think they're all delisted online and everything. So it's only made the values of all these gone up. So and this is the only one I have of the OG version, the physical copy on consoles. I played the absolute crap out of this game. Love it. It's a classic. When I want to actually play it, I do fire it up on the I'm able to fire it up on the digital version on 360 and play it that way. It's a great way to play it. So yeah, so that's number 2. Now, finally, at number 1, and this one was a trip to get, and definitely have a love for the series, is Project Justice. At number 1. So, Project Justice, for those that don't know, and I didn't know this for a good amount of time, that it is the sequel to Rival Schools, which I loved on PlayStation 1. For a while, I didn't put 2 and 2 together and realize that, because I was like, Project Justice is a completely different name, but it's the same character, same updated version of the fighting engine and everything. So it is Rival Schools. It's just this Rival Schools 2, basically. So it's very weird how, marketing-wise, it's strange that they changed the name so much, because I love Rival Schools on PlayStation 1. But this is also very good. I'm so glad I have it. It's climbed up as my most valuable Dreamcast game that I own now. Not too surprised, but it was not easy to get. It wasn't cheap, but I certainly didn't pay what it's worth. So thankful for that. Yeah, so that's my top 10 most valuable Dreamcast games. I love the Dreamcast. It's a very nostalgic console for me. I got it day 1 from Toys R Us, along with Final Fantasy VIII when that came out. They came out the same day of 9/9/99. They both launched that same day. All right, well, I hope you liked the video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. If you want to see more, let me know, and I'll catch you next time.